1st of December, Rabbi Furst, Parsha Hashavua, Yayishlach.
Okay, fine. Thank you, Lou. This is Rabbi Shlomo Furst. As Lou mentioned here in Yeshivat Samanashi, Yerushalayim Kiruv Zoom, as Lou mentioned, Erev Shabbos Parshas Yayishlach, Shana Tov Shin Pei Dalet. Okay, well, if you'll direct your attention to the Parshas Yayishlach, chapter Lamed Daled, I think we'll begin with Pasuk Yud Gimel, Lamed Daled Yud Gimel.
That's what that's the Isa V'ya'anu V'ya'anu.
V'ya'anu, right. So this I'll just give a little bit of a background. So you remember that Dina went out. She was molested, apprehended by Shem and Hamor, and she was held in the city of Shem. So now there is some negotiations taking place here that they were going to approve of a marriage and the joining with the Bnei Yaakov, with the Bnei Shem. And so now that was presented. So now in Yud Gimel is V'yanu Bnei is the answer of the Bnei Yaakov, meaning the Shiftei Kah. Now they're answering, they're responding to the offers and requests, or if you would, perhaps even demands, if you like, of the Bnei Shem. So let's begin with this pasuk. We'll take this pasuk through some more, and we'll see where the parsha leads us. Bezos Hashem. Lou, would you like to do a little reading?
Sure. Vayanu Bnei Yaakov es Shem es Kamor Aviv B'mir Ma Vayedaberu Asher Timei Es Dina Achosam. Okay, so and the children of Yaakov answered Shem and Hamor, his father, with cleverness.
So if you look,
I'm sorry?
Go ahead. Go ahead, finish up.
And they spoke since Dina, they had defiled Dina, their sister. He had defiled Dina, their sister.
Right. So look at Rashi says, what does it mean? B'mirma.
B'mirma, v'chachma, with wisdom.
Right. So they realized that this was not a simple situation, and it was going to take a great deal of strategy to try and release their sister. Right. So therefore, they were going to have to use wisdom in order to do that.
What she ever do with how Dina was handling? Whether she wanted to go back with her brothers, or whether she wanted to stay with Shem.
Right. That's right.
I can't hear you when you two talk.
I was saying that the Chumash never discusses what was Dina's thoughts. Whether she wanted to go back to her brothers or whether she wanted to stay with Shem.
You're asking if Dina wanted to go back to her brothers or stay with Shem?
Yeah, it doesn't discuss that. You don't know how Dina was feeling on this.
Okay, let's continue on. Let's see the next pasuk.
Or did you give an answer, Rabbi?
The Chumash discusses it.
Yeah, right.
It's silent.
Can't hear you.
The Chumash is silent on that point.
No, just no need for us to know how or what she was experiencing.
Okay, so we don't know. All right. Let's see, 14. Vayomru alehem lo nuchal lasos ha davar hazeh lases es achosenu leish asher lo yar la ki cherpa hu lanu. Okay, so they said to them, we're not able to do this thing, to give our sister to a man who is not circumcised. That is an insult to us. Cherpa. Okay, so Rashi says, Cherpahu shemetz psul hu etz lenu. It is considered by us a taint of disrepute. Haba lecha reif chavero. One who comes to insult his fellow, Omerlo says to him, Arel ata, you are uncircumcised. O ben Arel, or the son of one who is uncircumcised. Cherpa, b'chol makom giduf. The word cherpa means vilification. In all places it appears in Scripture.
Right. So therefore, this was the beginning of their strategy, which was true. I mean, you see, it was they weren't lying about anything here. That's the basic truth, right? That we have the mitzvah of circumcision, and for someone of our family to be married to someone who's not circumcised is a disgraceful thing, right? That was the first mitzvah that Avram was waiting for years and years, that he should be commanded by Kadosh Baruch with bris milah, and that's what's supposed to be the whole legacy of Klal Yisrael. That this was one of our primary mitzvahs, and it would be very highly disgraceful for the Dina to be married to someone who's not going to fulfill. He himself didn't fulfill it, and most likely his offspring would not fulfill that either. So that's something very straight and plain. There's no arguing about that. Meaning, there was no room for compromise here. That you're a Israeli, you're uncircumcised, and that's simply a disgraceful thing for us to imagine that our family should be married to those people who are uncircumcised. Right? So that was very reasonable, right? And a very good strategy to start off with.
Pointer?
Yeah.
Okay. Ach bezos neor lachem im tiyu kamonu lehimol lachem kol zachar. Only with this condition, for you if it will be that you will be like us to be circumcised all of your males.
Right. So now at this point, we should maybe think about this. I mean, they weren't asking simply that Shem should be circumcised, right? That might have been enough, right? That simply he was the one who wanted to marry Dinah, so let him circumcise himself. But here, their condition is, their demand is that the whole of this city, all the males of the city have to be circumcised. And yeah, Roy, you have a comment?
What do you finish if you don't mind? Sorry.
Oh, and also another thing to point out, that even though that they mentioned that all the males of the city have to be circumcised, they didn't make any conditions about any newborns. Like, what would be after the after the initial circumcision of all the males, so then new babies come into the world, and so what would be the situation with any newborns coming in and the next generation? What would be with them? So they never made any stipulations about that, right?
Oh, true. Yeah. Didn't think of that.
Right. So that I think we can speak very apparently that that would have been an outright lie and deception, because they weren't planning to keep anybody else alive. I mean, they weren't planning to have anyone left from this whole place. They were planning to destroy and wipe the whole place out, right? So to suggest that the next generation and the offspring of those who are circumcised would also need to be circumcised, so that's an unnecessary deception and a lie, which would be not needed to fulfill this strategy. What they needed to do was to fulfill this strategy, that to have everyone circumcised and then render them weak and feeble and in pain, so they could easily kill and wipe out the city. So there was no necessity to carry a deception into the next generation, which wouldn't exist.
Well, they had to ask all the men to get circumcised. They had the reason. I don't know if it's an excuse, but they had the reason that if their women were going to marry, anyone who they're going to marry should be already circumcised. Makes it simpler for everybody.
Right. So
they will do that. And if they circumcise everybody, then the Jewish women could just go and mate up with them. But yeah, and also I'm wondering, the circumcision itself, was that performed by their own doctors or by Rabbanim, or?
Okay, I'm not sure. I didn't have a chance to look into that to see exactly what Chazal say in terms of who actually did the surgeries. I'm not sure. That's a good question. Maybe we get up to that pasuk. I'll try and find out a little bit more about that. Remind when we get there, a few more psukim, we'll get to that point, right? And maybe we can find out more about that. But yeah, what you mentioned earlier, just the first point you mentioned, was now if they're dealing with all the existing population right now, so that would be a necessary condition for their intermarrying into the people of Shechem, right? That everyone have to be. It's not just Dinah that they're offering to the people of Shechem to intermarry with them, but also all the people of Shechem. So all the people would have to have their circumcision as well.
It seems a lot to do, just because you're going to, just because someone was violated, but but nonetheless, it would seem to an awful lot to go through to bring two peoples together. I don't know, that weren't meant to be together in the first place.
Well, exactly. I mean, this was no. I mean, this was not there was not something which was planned. This was part of the strategy that the Bnei Yaakov were using, right?
Mm.
And actually, to tell you the truth, we didn't really speak about that when it said in Pasuk Yud Gimel, Yanu Bnei Yaakov. Who was that? I mean, that we will take that to be that represented all the brothers, right? Reuven, Shimon, Levi. We know Shimon and Levi are going to be active later on. We'll get to what Shimon and Levi did. We all know that. But in terms of this strategy, this negotiations which is taking place, the Bnei Yaakov, I imagine, is referring to all of them. I mean, Reuben was there, Yehuda was there, Yisachar was there, right? They were all there. They were all there in the around the round table discussion. I don't know if it was a round table that they used, whatever they did.
What about Yaakov?
Well, that's a general question, right? The general question we should be asking is, well, where's Yaakov in terms of all these discussions taking place? I mean, at the very end of it, right? At the end of it, we'll see if we get to that. We'll see how far we get. We see that Yaakov Avinu makes his final statement at the very end of the whole episode here, right? But the Torah is not.
At the end, he's gonna be very upset, and he's gonna say you shouldn't have done it. So my question is, why didn't he say that now? If everybody was meeting, then why didn't Yaakov speak up and say, no, this is not necessary?
Well, the question is, we don't know what Yaakov Avinu would have been planning or trying to do at this point, right? The Torah doesn't tell us anything about that, right?
Well, I mean, we know in a few psukim he's gonna be very unhappy with them, and later he's gonna curse them. So,
no, it wasn't a curse. It wasn't a curse. He didn't curse them.
He said you made me odious in the eyes of the people around us.
So the question is, what would Yaakov? He's not involved with this, and the only thing we see is his reaction to the attack that they made, but not necessarily to the negotiations that they had previously.
Did he know about it?
That's a general question also. I mean, again, Yaakov knew, if you take a look there where it says, take a look, take a look at Pasuk, Pasuk K, the fifth Pasuk there, right? Pasuk K.
Also in Luke, Lamed Gimel.
Jacob heard that he had defiled his daughter, Dinah, while his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Jacob kept silent until their arrival.
Right. So you see that the Yaakov knew what happened here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so he, as it says, that he didn't say anything, right?
But he didn't. But did he know about the planned attack? He knew about the violation itself, but did he know about the response that was being planned?
Well, I mean, the question is,
At the moment.
Well, we again, what Shimon and Levi did, right? What Shimon and Levi did, right? Was that something they did independently, or was that something which was planned from the beginning?
I think I'm not sure why you say it wasn't a curse, but when Yaakov gives them their blessing, he specifies to them. He doesn't say you and your brothers. He says you. So that to me implies that they acted alone.
Well, we understand it. We understand from the psukim that they acted alone. The question was this original, was the attack part of the plan or not? Right?
Well, then we have to say what was the plan?
Oh, that's that. Okay, that's another way of phrasing it. What exactly was the plan when the pasuk said in your Gimel, right? V'yanu b'nei Yaakov, right? B'chochma b'mirma, right? So this is a pasuk was referring to the b'nei Yaakov, meaning that ostensibly means all of them, right? Number one, and it says that they were acting in unison with Mirma, meaning they were all apparently involved with this strategy. That's what I would say the most Pashut approach, the basic approach you'd have to take to the pasuk,
Mm.
right? But so the question is, was the attack part of the original plan, or was this perhaps something which Shimon and Levi decided to do independently from the general strategy that all the brothers were planning here? That's not clear.
Well, they were angry. Said when you're angry and upset, you may not think clearly. So the strategy may be evolving as they went along.
Oh, so that's another point. Meaning, again, let me put it this way: what do you think they would have done if Shem and Hamor said no, nothing doing, we're not interested in this bris milah business, right? You're not going to get close to us. You're not going to do this. So what next?
They would have gone to war straight out. They wouldn't have.
Apparently, no.
What? Big fun?
Yeah, I would say so, right?
Mm.
Well, it
So
says that they say to them, if not, we'll take our daughter and go.
so once let's
say, what they do.
So that I think they would have said, okay, fine, give us Dinah.
So well, let's continue on. Let's continue on with the psukim. Let's see, where do we leave off?
I just wanted to comment that it says, I mean, I guess we'll get to it, but it says that Yaakov chastises Shimon and Levi.
Right. So that's not a klola. The klola is a curse. The chastisement is completely different than a curse.
No, the curse I was talking about was when he's about to die. I'm just saying that we were asking if this was something that was planned by all the brothers or just Shimon and Levi.
Right.
So Yaakov says to Shimon and Levi, you have discomposed me, whatever that means. So he's chastising them, not everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, but like, what were they chastised for?
Yeah, it's not clear.
Yeah. I mean, Pashtus, they were chastised for the attack.
Right.
Right. They were the only ones who participated in the attack.
Right, except it says after they killed everybody, then it says the sons of Yaakov came upon the slain and they plundered the city. So they're participating.
And they what the city?
Plundered.
Oh, plundered. Oh, sorry.
So they're participating, and nevertheless, in the next pasuk, Yaakov doesn't say to his sons, he says to Shimon and Levi, which is a little bit funny to me, because if they all went and plundered, then you'd think he would now lay the blame on all of them.
Yeah. Okay. Well. So I mean, I don't think the plunder was much. There was not much to talk about the plunder. That that could simply be because now because of the spoils of war, it's left there, and that's free for everybody to take. Um,
Well, they took captive all the women and the children. I mean, there's a major thing here.
yeah, sure. Well, yeah. I mean, they didn't. They weren't. They weren't in. They had to do something with everybody that was left around.
Well, all I'm saying is, if Yaakov is worried about the fact that people are going to hear about this and be upset, then the fact that they went and plundered the city is a very significant part of the fact that people are going to hear about it. If they just killed the people and then left right away, it would be much less of an impact.
I mean, could be. I mean, I think that was normal procedure. After you attack and kill out the resistance, you plunder the city. I mean, I think that was normal procedure. But that wouldn't. But if they weren't attacked, that wouldn't have been. I think the major thing he was concerned about was the attack. Consequently, so they plundered it. But that was something. That was just a consequence of the original attack. Uh, Actually, to tell you the truth, if you take a look, go back to Pasuk Zion. Go back to Pasuk Zion. Now, what does the Pasuk tell you about when the Bnei Yaakov came back from the Sodom?
They were distressed, and they were fired deeply.
Yeah.
Indignation.
Okay. So let's go through the Pasuk word by word here. That's instead of paraphrasing. Let's take a look at the Pasuk itself. Bnei Yaakov ba'u min Sodom.
Okay. Bnei Yaakov ba'u min hasadeh kisham am vayis atzvu ha'anashim vayichar lahem ma'od ki nivala asa b'Yisrael lishkav es bas Yaakov v'chein lo yaseh. Okay, so it says the Jacob's sons arrived from the field. When they heard, they were distressed. The men were distressed, and they were yachar, which it says fired. Very much.
I didn't hear the word you. I lost the signal. Go say it again, please, Lou.
Vayechar is translated it is fired.
Right.
So I'm not sure exactly what it means, but
I mean, it means it means infuriated. That's what it means.
they were infuriated very much.
What's the symbol say?
They were full of, they were emotionally distressed.
Right. They became infuriated, right? Two things. So he's atzvu, number one, yichar lechem me'od, and then they became infuriated. Right. Now, but so now the question is what to do about it, right?
Right. Right.
Okay,
It
so
seems to me that when
I'm
they decided what
wondering.
to do, Hamor came in and said, give me a daughter for my son as a wife. And that's when they replied with as it says, with cleverness and said, well, we can't do that because you're uncircumcised.
came with his claim. Hamor and Shem, they came with the offer to make a marriage agreement out of this situation, out of this as this episode with the Dina. Now they wanted to make this a marriage agreement. So now that gave the brothers the opening that they could now develop some type of strategy to get Dina back.
It's
Before
possible.
then,
Yes, sorry.
yeah, before then they were probably just contemplating just an outright attack, and but they had a better way of approaching the situation. Yeah, what do you want to say, Roy?
I have an impression of things happening, bang, 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 bang. That's each sentence follows the other one without much of a gap. But it seems like they had to they perhaps went away from Hamor and so on to think about it. Didn't make up their mind straight there and then, or made up or gave an intimation of what they were thinking, and then went off and to think about what to say to him and what to do about it, so that their strategy was worked out and their answer was worked out in relation to the strategy. You know, not everything. Maybe the initial response may have been immediate, spur of the moment, which led to the rest of it. But I'm pretty sure the rest of it was worked out.
Yeah, there's no doubt that obviously, I mean, you're dealing with all the brothers here, and you're dealing with these negotiations with Shem and Hamor. So obviously there was things worked out. So Yaakov Avinu, meaning the question was that Yaakov Avinu was quiet, meaning because the question is, first of all, what recourse do they have right now? And first until the sons came, so what recourse? Look, don't forget, Yaakov Avinu had Avadim, he had slaves. I mean, he could have amassed some army if he wanted. He could have got an army together. That wouldn't have been a problem for him, right?
He didn't do anything. He didn't say anything. As the patriarch, maybe he should have stepped in immediately and decided what to do. It's left up to the young people.
Okay, so that in and of itself. Well, that's a question. Did he leave it up to them? I mean, was he witnessing all this and just standing by? Was this and if he was it intentional? Right? We don't know. We don't know too much about what Yaakov Avinu was doing or planning at this point. All we see is after the attack, he was not happy with Shimon and Levi because of the attack, and and apparently from what the pasuk tells us, he was only unhappy about the attack because of the consequences with the surrounding peoples, right? But I'm sure he was very happy to get Dina back. No,
of course.
I wonder about the plan. When all the people, all the males agree to get circumcised, they become complicit. And I'm wondering if that was part of the brothers' intention to establish the guilt so that they could justify killing everybody or killing all the males.
I'm not sure. Clarify what you wanted to say. I want to respond properly. So just clarify again what you wanted when you say there, Lou.
I'm saying there's an issue here about killing everybody. We mentioned before that only Shem did anything wrong, and yet the Shimon and Levi go and they kill all the males. And
right.
I think, you know, the answer, if someone were to say, well, isn't this wrong? Would be to say, well, they all, you know, went along with it. So they were all guilty. And I'm just wondering if part of the brothers' plan was that by getting everyone, all the males, to agree to circumcise themselves, that they established that these males were in on it. They were all agreeing to this whole thing, including the rape, which made them culpable, and therefore the act of killing them was justified.
Right. I'm not sure how the agreement for them all to become circumcised implicates them. How do you understand that by having the bris milah that would implicate them in the abduction and the situation with Dina? How does that implicate everybody?
Well, I'm thinking that you know, what would my reaction be if I found out that, you know, some Ploni Almoni, you know, that lives in Sanhedria, Chas v'sholom, had done something like this, and then they came and they said, okay, everybody in Sanhedria should now do X, and X is like a big deal. X is something that's a big tircha. I'd say, forget it. What do I have to do with Ploni Almoni? Maybe we'll say it was the mayor. Maybe it was the mayor, or, you know, some important person. You'll say Shem was an important person. But even so, I'd say, what do I have to do with Ploni Almoni? I'm not taking upon myself this tircha. It has nothing to do with me. So if I don't say that, if I say, yeah, I'll do it. Let's go. Let's be part of this. I'm joining myself with Ploni Almoni.
Yeah. Okay. I hear. Yeah, Roy, you want to say something?
I think that first of all, the men there have no morality. I think, is that right? They don't have moral. So they, despite them being married to their own wives, they would be quite happy to take the Jewish women as well. And they indicated this, I think, that you give your daughters to us, and we'll give your men to you, or something like that. So that they wanted to take the Israeli women as well. Despite the way that Yosef, who was it, who said that Yaakov said that despite Yaakov saying, "Oh, look, if you're not going to do that, just give us our daughter and we'll go." Then, if they did agree to that, it doesn't mean that they agree to it behind the scenes. It might mean that they might think that we're weak, so off we go and we grab your daughters anyway. So we knew this, and knew we had to decimate the city of Shem, or else we'd cop it in the end again. It's like today.
You're making an assumption, Roy, that these people were immoral, but that's not established by anything.
Oh, if I said so, then they are.
What? You
say then they were.
In any event, if I'm not mistaken, the Ramban explains that why everyone was chayv misa, because they had violated one of the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach, that they were obligated to have a legal system, and legally stealing people is an offense that even Bnei Noach are obligated the death sentence for. So since they did not enforce the death sentence for the abduction of Dinah, so the whole of the city was under the penalty of death. So that's I think, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't see it recently, but that's the way I remember the Ramban explaining the reason why it was permissible to kill out everybody. Um, but the question here is so it's not necessarily so much a case of the morality involved. It's really the obligation of the seven mitzvahs. We see here that there are violations of the seven mitzvahs, and we know that any non-Jew that violates any of the seven mitzvahs, he's automatically penalized by death. So that's basically the reason why they were permitted to kill them. Now, Yaakov Avinu seemed to object to that. What Yaakov Avinu was upset about, I think, was more or less the consequences of what they did and how they did it. And if they would have made a trial and convicted all of the city and decided it would be destroyed, so that would have been more appropriate and would not necessarily have gotten him into difficulties with the surrounding natives. But what did I see here? What you have below? Most of national about. Right. Okay. Very good. Very good. The Malbim explains a little bit about the silence of Yaakov. Right. Yaakov was silent. So the Malbim explains here that Yaakov, Shema Yedea Shaddai Lo Nitma Hayam Moshe Nashal Tzitli Ma'ah. So the question is that the pasuk says there. This is in pasuk. Yeah. Right, the pasuk says, look again at pasuk K. Yaakov Shama Ki Time as Dina Vito. He heard that she was violated, right? So why is that? Why is that important for us to know? Why is it important that he heard that she was violated? Meaning, had she simply been abducted without violation, apparently Yaakov's response would have been different. That's what the Malbim is explaining over here. The fact that the pasuk tells us that Yaakov first, and he knew already that she was violated, which was a deepening of the offense against Dinah, against the Bnei Israel. So he was therefore silent, meaning now she had been violated, so now it's simply not a case of just kidnapping, abduction, but now it's a more serious offense, right? And therefore he was silent because now he realized that it was going to take a great deal of effort now to rectify the situation. Because had she simply been abducted, so maybe it would have been simply a case of kidnapping. Maybe they wanted to ransom her. Maybe they could have brought her out back, right? But now that she was now violated, so now he understands that there's a different reason for to ransom her and pay money. Maybe that's what their intention was. But now that he heard that there was a violation involved here, so therefore he knows it's not a case of ransom, and therefore he's going to need to do something here on a larger scale. Okay, let's continue on with the psukim. Let's go to pasuk. Yeah, again we did. Let's look at Zion again. We have to look at Zion again.
Zion, okay. V'nei Yaakov ba'u min hasadeh sham'am vayis'atzvu ha'anashim vayichar lahem o ki nivala asa b'Yisrael lishkav es bas Yaakov v'chein lo yeyaseh. And the sons of Jacob arrived from the field. When they heard, the men were distressed and infuriated deeply with indignation, for he had committed an outrage in Israel by lying with a daughter of Jacob. Such a thing is not done.
Right. That again, it's simply now they understood and they realized this is not simply a case of kidnapping, right? Then ransom, not simply kidnapping ransom. It's something which is much deeper than that. Okay, so then they begin their negotiations to a certain extent. The Bnei Yaakov tell them what they have to do, right? If that's the case, and then let's see, let's go back down to pasuk 16. Let's do it pasuk 16.
Okay. V'nasanu es b'nosenu lachem v'es b'nosechem nikach lanu v'yashavnu itchem v'hayinu la'am echad. And we will give our daughters to you, and your daughters we will take for ourselves, and we will dwell with you, and we will be one nation. Rashi says, Vinasanu, the nun has a dagesh. Lefi shehi mi shameshes bimkom shtei nunim, because it functions in the place of two nuns. Vinasanu. Okay, that's just a grammatical point, I think.
Yeah. Now look how Rashi explains. Now it goes further with the Rashis. Look how Rashi is explaining things here.
Okay, v'es b'nosehem nikach lanu, ata motzei batanai she'amar chamor liYaakov. You find in the stipulation which Chamor stated to Yaakov, uvis shuva b'nei Yaakov lechamor, and in response to the sons of Yaakov to Chamor, shetalu hachashivos b'vnei Yaakov, that they attributed the greater significance upon the sons of Yaakov. Lakach benos Shechem, to be able to take the daughters of Shechem, Eis sheyavcharu lahem, whomever they chose for themselves, uvenoseihem, and their own daughters, yitanu lahem, they would give to them, lefi da'asam, according to their own opinion, i.e., as they saw fit. Dichsiv, for it is written, Binasanu es binosenu, and we will give our daughters, which implies lifnei da'asenu, according to our opinion, i.e., as we see fit. Ve'es b'nosechem nikach lanu. And your daughters we will take to ourselves, which implies kichol asher nach pots, according to all of our desire. Kishe, I'm sorry, uka shedi baru chamor u'Shem bano. But when Hamor and Shem, his son, spoke, El Yoshvei Iram, to the residents of their city, Hafchu Hadivarim, they turned the words around. They said, Es benosam nikach lanu v'nashim. Their daughters we will take for ourselves as wives. The
Right.
Senu nitain lahem, and our daughters we will give to them. Today liratso sam, in order to appease them. She ye osu lihimol, so that they would consent to be circumcised.
So you see a tremendous thing here now. Rashi's pointing out that when Hamor and Shem were talking to their people, they switched things around, right? That they should be able to consent to being mold, right?
What being what?
To have the bris milah. They switched the words around in order to convince the people that they should get the bris milah. So they did it. They did themselves in.
They were fooling themselves.
Well, they went up what offered by and what was required by the Bnei Yaakov, and they therefore changed the agreement as it was being spoken about, and because of that change in the agreement, that led to their own demise. Because what would have been if they didn't agree to have the bris milah? Then they wouldn't have had such an easy time to kill them all out.
Right?
Was Hashem on their side? On our side?
Hashem is always on our side.
Yeah, but was Hashem happy?
Yeah, for sure, definitely so.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, okay, it's 10:30. We'll have to stop here. But I think you see from this last point in Rashi that they did themselves in, meaning sort of like what you mentioned, Roy. Hashem is with us. So meaning the Rishoyim, right? The Rishoyim are going to bring their own demise. We don't necessarily have to do too much for the Rishoyim to meet their own demise. No, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make them fail, and our status is simply just what we need to do. But nevertheless, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take the reins and make things turn out in our general favor most times if we're following HaKadosh Baruch Hu properly. And therefore, you see from this point that Rashi mentions that they themselves were the cause of their own deaths. Okay, let's continue on. We'll begin next week. And Mitzvah Hashem, you should all have a good Erev Shabbos, and hope to see you all beginning next week. Yom Rishon, Mitzvah Hashem.
Okay, have a good Shabbos.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Good Shabbos.
Okay.
Have a good Shabbos.
Allah, have you and your families, and be well, Lou, too.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Lou. Should all be well.